Jeffrey Dahmer soaked in blood.
The Unabomber blowing up.
Waco, Texas, and Heaven's Gates.
Aliens modified, meant from apes.
JFK shot in the head by the CIA.
Bigfoot and the Mothman.
Son of Sam talking to dogs again.
Witches,
Ghosts and goblins.
mysterious noise and hauntings.
Dark arts in the skull and bones.
Most celebrities are probably cloned.
So if you're feeling all alone,
Crack a beer and get stoned.
I welcome you to the podcast Strange Brew.
We're here to entertain you.
We're here to entertain you.
It's about to get strange.
Fucking Aaron's
I
gotta
hate
put some
that end.
bass in his voice. Oh,
So
man.
yeah, actually, I was actually just at the store the other day. I saw this this black kid was riding down the street on a bicycle, and fuck, it looked exactly like mine. I ran back home just to check if it was still there. Opened the garage, and no, it was still there, begging for food.
That's brutal, man.
Yikes, dude. Don't quit your day job, Billy, because that shit sucked. I'm going to be honest, bro.
That's funny. So welcome everybody back to the show. Welcome to Strange Brew Podcast. You know me, Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, the Reptilian. We have Bilbo Baggins, and we are joined by the one and only Juan. You know him from Strange Juans back in the day. The homuncologist. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, the only Juan, bro. The Juan and only, all right?
The
The
Juan and
homuncologist.
only.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this should be fucking awesome, man. I'm pretty excited. A lot of the fans will be familiar from when we used to do our Strange Juan series, which is still up on the show. A lot of the episodes are, but they're blended now kind of into what Strange Brew is now kind of thing. So we took out the Strange Juan's little thing and just put what we talked about. Because we did the Black Knight Satellite. We did a bunch of fun stuff. So
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of episodes, a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
over
crazy.
50, right?
I know, it's nuts. And then some are on Patreon, some of the older ones. And then, Billy, how are you, sir?
I am just dandy,
Are you
feeling fresh, feeling alive.
feeling white and pasty?
I've got no sun apparently, but I'm telling you, man, this camera makes it look worse. I'm a little better than this. Not much better, but slightly darker, I'd say.
Well, I'm
One
drinking
shade.
some vodka like usual.
He's trying to, you trying to be black, Billy? Is that what you're trying to do, dude?
No, I am actually under this. It's
Oh,
like if I get a cut or something, like it's just you see it underneath.
Know what you
Okay.
need to do?
Yeah.
You need to leave Canada, put a turban on your head, come in back into Canada, and then they'll pay your subsidy of your wages. 70% of subsidy wages. Yeah, it's crazy. So my tax
that's
dollars are
pretty
going
cool.
to pay for people to come in this country and work at Tim Hortons. 70 up to
Yikes.
70%.
Tom,
Pretty crazy.
what's the point of live streaming to Twitch, but not anywhere else, bro? Is there like
right,
a logical?
right now? No, just because we were gonna actually put this out there in a couple weeks when the actual full episode comes out. But Billy wanted to stream it to Twitch so his friends could watch.
Oh,
That's literally what we're doing. Because once it releases to everywhere in a couple weeks or whatever, then we'll be live streaming, and everyone will believe that we are live right now. So make sure.
yeah. I've done it a couple of times, bro. It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard to
So
space
nobody
out so
knows.
much stuff that we have going on. I have like a bank full of episodes ready to go. So we're gonna be talking about the homunculus. Juan is really he's gonna bring us into the folds of what this is, because this is kind of like connected to alchemy and occult magic and all that stuff. So do you want to kind of like bring us kind of into the folds of it a little bit?
Just the tip, the esoteric foreplay. So, have you ever done stand up, Billy? By any chance?
I would love to.
Have you
No.
have you tried, Tom? Have you tried stand up before?
Not yet. I've had people tell me I should, but I just feel like my jokes would be so offensive.
Yeah, no. So I did try stand up for the first time ever
I saw that.
a month ago or something like that.
Did ya?
I believe I have done the only set in existence in history about the homunculus. It was a straight homunculus set.
That's
And
so
I didn't
funny.
completely bomb. I don't know if the people were being nice or what. There was over 200 people there. So hopefully, I don't know if they were being nice or what, because they knew it was my first time. I had a heckler in the front. It was weird. I kept looking at this lady's face who was just visually disgusted at what I was saying. It was really bizarre. It was a weird experience, but
it'd be hard not to like observe the audience, like especially when you're first time and you're just in front of a stage and being like, and it's crazy because you posted, I saw that when I finally listened to the episode that Cat Williams even brought it up on Joe Rogan, the homunculus, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty weird, man.
See, the only thing is, like, when you're doing a set like that, like, is it, because honestly, like, I know nothing about this at all. Like, it like kind of common knowledge for the room, or?
Well, it really helped that I was opening up for Sam Tripoli, which his whole podcast is conspiracy. So it was the perfect crowd. There was a ton of people there that I knew. So it was the perfect storm, and that's why I don't know why I did it, honestly. Like I was so nervous. I almost I was about to faint before like going on and everything.
I couldn't imagine, yeah.
I guess, sometimes you got to challenge yourself and keep pushing forward to push yourself out of your comfort zone to be able to grow in some sort of way, right? So it was a little traumatic. Would I do it again under the right circumstances? Absolutely. I have plenty of stuff. I was really nervous the way it was, and it was my first time, because the thing is, when you're doing stand-up, right here, we can crack a joke, and between the three of us, we laugh. Well, you got to understand, up there, if you have 200 people, the feedback is real time. So it's all about cadence. It's all about delivery. Because if you're talking, you can't just talk over every, blah, 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 and like you have to laugh. You have to use the silence for your advantage sometimes. And again, it was just my first time, but I did
Billy's
the only.
Billy's always wanted to try it, but he's like used to people laughing at him.
I don't care what kind of laughter there is. If it's at me or with me, like if you're laughing, you're laughing.
I have a feeling that Billy might be a homunculus. Here. So let's get into it, because
all right, let's go.
The homunculus.
Like you,
Fuck you.
So the homunculus is one of these topics that it's bizarre to hear about, and it's even 100%. More bizarre how they're created. But essentially, a homunculus is a magical little man. Okay, and the one that you're putting up, that's an actual medical representation that they use. That's called the cortex man. And the term homunculus in medical terms is the neural map of the parts of your body that your brain controls. So there you go. That's the cortex man. So the word homunculus is an actual medical term. Now, the alchemical homunculus, which is the one that everyone knows and loves, which was invented in the 16th century, again, is this little magical man that was created through alchemy. And this is where it gets weird, because you have this magical blood and bones talisman, essentially, which you're able to acquire godlike powers from, magical powers from. But it was up to the practitioner as to what to do with the final product. So you could have your homunculus, and you could let it grow into old age, and it would bring forth. And I have a homunculus owner's manual too. It's 33 pages of how to care for your homunculus. It's the only comic book about the homunculus. Okay, so you can get that on my website. But the homunculus, you can either let it grow into old age, and it brings forth giants, dwarves, goblins, mythical and mystical creatures. Like it's a weird kind of thing. Or you can unalive the thing and use its body parts, its various body parts, for various powers. Now, where we get the results that you get from using it are in these grimoires. So there's actual entire books on magic that instruct you how to create a homunculus, or humanoid, because the term homunculus wasn't invented until the 16th century, how to create a humanoid, and what to do. There's its recipes broken down one by one.
It's like that Jew shit, right? The golem, or what do they call that shit?
Kind of, sort of like the Jew shit. Okay, my homunculi are running around right now in the house.
What is that? The clay man that they make out of clay, and then they make him into a creature.
Listen, dude. So the golem, it is, they both relate to each other, the homunculus and the golem, because one is they're both artificially created life, which we know is real. We know that nowadays they're creating literally, dude, in Israel, speaking of the Jews, in Israel, they created an entity in a lab without a father
Recently?
as 9 or 10 months ago, bro. Look it up. So,
Oh,
and the reason they created this entity is because by law, you have 14 days that when you have an embryo in a lab setting, a human embryo, you have to kill it after 14 days. By them making a synthetic, because it's a synthetic embryo,
Yeah, I don't
They
think
don't
they
got it.
follow laws though.
they don't got to do anything with it because it's in the gray area. So
Yeah.
we get into the ethics, the bioethics of artificially created life, which they were arguing about in the 1500s and in the 16th century. There was dudes having entire conversations as to if homunculi were human or not. So again, it's this whole part of history, which if you look at the first stories of creation, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Hindu, Zoroastrian, Judaic, right? Judaism, all those stories of creation feature what? A man made from the clay and animated into like,
Yeah.
breathe life into this
Then
this
we get
form.
the woman out of the rib. She's
All
my
that
son.
that is, again, it's artificially created life through the power of God, because God is all powerful.
Yeah.
But these alchemists were trying to do just that. They were like, listen, alchemy is one of these things where unlimited money. Yeah, I can make all the gold I want. I can make all the silver I want. All right, well, how am I going to spend all this money that I got now? Well, I'll create the elixir of life. Okay, well, I'm feeling kind of old right now. Okay, that's fine. You become younger, and then you're like, all right, well, I don't really. All right, I want to control reality. Okay, let's step outside of space and time and control reality from that point. It's like alchemy has all the check marks checked in the occult, where it's like I call it the utility knife of the occult, because you can literally they have all the bases covered. That's why you get all these stories of these immortal alchemists, these immortal adepts that achieved the magnum opus. And dude, in the 1920s, the OSS was looking for Fulcanelli, one of the last greatest alchemists, because he had revealed the secrets of nuclear power 5 years before the Manhattan Project. An alchemist, they were looking for him. They were like, okay, who is this guy and who does he work for? Okay, and he had disappeared years before, like 10 years before that, because he had achieved the magnum opus. And there's a funny part where one of his pupils sees him. It's the famous cross-dressing Fulcanelli, because what ends up happening is in alchemy, there's various magnum opus. I guess that's how you would say opus, right? Multiple. There is the philosopher's stone. You have the red stone and the white stone. You have the divine androgen, which is like the divine hermaphrodite, which if you look at Hollywood, that's why I think there's a lot of this agenda going forward. They're trying to feminize men more. You got Drake with the painted nails. I got evidence that Drake might be making homunculi. I mean, we can get into that later on.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Sounds
really weird.
interesting.
We got all that stuff. And so there's the philosopher's stone, the divine androgen, the elixir of life, which is one of those other ones where you drink it and you become younger. And there's stories of these alchemists that would go through these transformations, that would drink this elixir of life. Their hair would fall out, their nails would fall out, their teeth would fall out, and they would regrow back again, and they'd be younger. And then there's the homunculus, which is, again,
do you think that this stuff is all possible in the realm of possibility in the reality that we exist in?
100%, because the reason that they believe this, the reason that they believed it was because we know that all things are made of the same component, which is an atom. So the same atoms that are in gold are in lead, and they believe that these minerals were in different stages of their lives. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why they call it projection, because you're projecting it to its highest and most purest form. But that's essentially what alchemy is. It's the breaking down of matter and putting it back together in a more perfected form. So who does that? Well, God does that. He puts things together, and he's the divine architect. He's the great alchemist. They view him as the great alchemist. That's what the Watchers are. The Watchers are watching God, the divine alchemist, at work. And if we trace back the origins of alchemy come from the Watchers, from these angelic beings that came down and mated with the daughters of men. And they were like, listen, give me that pussy, and I'm going to give you the secrets of reality. All right. So that's how it was. They taught the daughters of men the art of metallurgy, of makeup, which is interesting because there's this guy who has linked the Nephilim with looking like clowns. And it's interesting that the Nephilim taught the daughters of men about makeup.
Yeah, that's really weird. And this is connections to like the Anunnaki and stuff, and how and Little and El and stuff, and them coming down, and it's really weird. I just want to know, what is with this guy? Why does he look so much like Billy? I'm just kidding. But like, what is with like the big ass hands? The one guy's got a pretty big one.
Well, what do you use the most? What do you use the most in your day-to-day life? Your hands. You're on your phone all the time.
Like
how is that guy jerk off, man?
You talk the most, so that's why you got the most sensitivity around your lips and your air. You talk the most. And again, your homunculus.
Are we talking about me or that guy? What's going on right now?
Listen, dude, you might be Tom's homunculi. Who knows, dude? But everyone's homunculus is different depending on the stimuli it receives. And this is look at that. This is science, bro.
Man. Is this guy? So if their dick is bigger, it means they use their dick more often, right?
That's your second head, bro.
Yeah, it's true. That one looks like that one's kind of like a black homunculi, though.
Oh my god!
So it sounds a lot like some weird Jewish magic shit. Not gonna lie.
So the golem is the sort of the cybernetic AI type of thing, where a golem is formed fully formed. He's a full grown man, and they're programmed to do one thing. Now, in the lore, they were programmed to guard people. They were programmed, and then it got really weird because I went down this entire rabbit hole where sometimes I'll read like some crazy lore or something crazy that sounds wild, like, yo, they were doing this, and I was like, there's no way they were doing that. And then I do a deep dive and I find the source, and I go, oh, they were doing that. So it turns out that the Jews were actually the ones that created the first fleshlights, the first sex dolls, because not only were they using the golem for chores around the house, they were also making female golems
so I could fuck him.
But hey, Tom, that pussy's kosher, so it's not a sin. Okay.
Get the mailman.
Listen.
I was trying to cast a spell on me, like a wizard or something.
So they said it wasn't a sin.
Fucking disgusting.
Because it was created by man. As long as it wasn't created by God, it's all right.
I don't
so we
think
can have sex with these
anything
golems.
is a sin. You'll read into the Talmud and shit. These people practice like the worst type of shit, the most perversion. If you go to the Weimar Republic in the 1920s,
is that actually the rule though? Created by man, it's okay. Created by God, that's the difference.
That's what it said when they accused this rabbi of I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name. It's a familiar name. When they accused him of like, hey, why are you doing lewd acts with your golem? He's like, no. This wasn't created by God. Therefore, it's not a creation. It's not a divine creation. I created it.
Oh, is that what they did to Barack Obama?
Probably, bro. So they always try and find like a loophole, almost as if you don't think that God, the all-powerful entity that rules reality, is gonna see through your bullshit that you're trying to find a loophole in reality. Like you seen there's one sect of I think it's like Amish or something like that, where they operate the forklift from like all the way in the back with like some long levers, because as long as they're not sitting in it, it's okay with their. I'm like,
it's like soaking, bro. Have you ever soaked before?
I've never soaked before.
Is, right? Yeah. If people don't know, it's where you can supposedly, if there's no emotion, then it's not really sex. So you just so if I'm having sex with Chelsea and I'm not supposed to because I'm Amish and I'm too young and I'm not married yet, then I just sit my dick inside of her pussy, and then Billy's underneath the bed and he moves the bed into motion, and then
why
I'm not
am I
really
doing
sex.
it?
Because you're my homunculus.
He's doing a push up under the bed, doing a push up. So. Yeah, they always find these loopholes to trick God, and essentially the homunculus
seems like they're doing that shit. If you go and look into some of the stuff that's going on, they're trying to bring about their Messiah because their Messiah never came. So they always try to find loopholes to push their their magic book. That's what they're doing.
It's not so much like loopholes as like a term of like getting things done the way you want it to get done without having to answer for something, because you feel like you now have an excuse for it. So when it happens, you're like, hey, like, look, I did exactly what you want. I'm so sorry. I thought that would have been okay. Like that's kind of the
It's funny you mentioned that, Thomas. So the cow is an important aspect in all of this, and there's and throughout history you see that they've worshipped the cow a lot, right? And now,
Indian people bathe in cow shit, man.
My buddy Paranoid American has speculated that some of these grimoires are talking about the creation of mushrooms, because if you think about a little man, a one-legged man that gives you powers when you eat its body or consume parts of its body. What does that sound like? It sounds like a psychedelic trick where you eat this thing that comes from a cow, because there's always this similar component where you need the cow. Now, my favorite recipe, which doesn't have to do with the creation of a homunculus, but is in the same recipe book, the Liber Vacae, the Book of the Cow, is a 9th century grimoire that talks about, it has it's 40 different experiments, 80 in total, 40 in 2 books, major, minor. And in this book, there's a particular experiment on how to artificially create bees. Okay. And in order for you to create these artificial bees, you're supposed to start off with a cow, and you cut off its head, and you plug it all up. You sew everything up, right? And you put it in a room. And then you're supposed to, before you cut it up and sew it up, you're supposed to beat the cow carcass to a pulp with the biggest dog dick you can find. Now, some people say that is a mistranslation. Some people actually say that it's supposed to be the biggest dick you can.
It's gotta be a dog dick. Has to be. There's no way the bees will form unless that particular mixture.
Listen, dude. That's what it says. All right, you're supposed to. In some translations, it says place the dog dick on the top of it. In other translations, it says beat it. And so, right,
so
Michael
when the
Jackson,
Chinese eat dogs, do they keep the dick for magic?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because during the time when the whole Ukraine thing came out, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was you don't remember this part that I'm about to tell you, but there was a large shipment of donkey dicks that were seized going to Nigeria from China. Okay. But around this same time was when there were the Ukraine super soldier stories going around, where there was allegedly this soldier that they would shoot at and wouldn't die. It was like invincible. And if you think about all this, right, you mentioned, because this gets into the moon children and messiahs. Okay, this is where it gets weird, because there's something that I in my book that I'm writing about this, I titled the chapter Artificial Messiahs, because in a lot of stories of creation, a lot of these messiah figures come from a virgin birth. Now, the interesting part about that is that there were entire debates, and this is controversial, there were entire debates on rather if Jesus was a homunculus or not. Okay, listen.
They think he was Thoth too.
There were grown men of the church arguing about the validity of Jesus being a homunculus or not. And there was 2 guys arguing back and forth. And it's hilarious, because when you read these accounts, they're like, it's the OG Twitter wars, where this guy would write this entire volume hitting on this other guy, and then this guy would write back, and it was just like tomes, bro. They were just slanging those tomes of books, just talking shit about one another. And there's evidence, and there are records about the physics behind the birth of Jesus and how it would fall under the concept of a homunculus. And that's why he was getting magical.
But there's theories too that like when they translated virgin from the original text, it actually just meant young lady. So, and there's like people tracing back that he had a grandmother wild
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Yeah,
and that
some
and
crazy
that,
shit.
Yeah, because everyone the story's been passed down so often. Like even in the David Icke book I'm reading, he talks about how it's like it all goes back to some Viking lore too. Like there's been these stories retold.
Yeah, Thomas, but think about this, Tom. Think about this. What if it's not? What if it's not the same story? What if it's individual stories? Because what if, just thinking outside the box here, what if it's a form of technology, Tom?
Yeah,
Because
well,
you know who
yeah.
also wrote about artificial messiahs? The child of thy bowels, Aleister Crowley. And Aleister
Yep.
Crowley talked about, and it might just be about, Billy, about the anal birth of the homunculus.
Why did
Why would it come from the
Because-
butthole?
What?
Listen, because it's supposed to be, listen, I'm serious, this is history. It is about the unconventional birth of a messiah. So through a method that wouldn't be conventional, a perversion of something sacred, okay? So instead of it being born from a woman, it's born asshole of a man. Now, check this out, because this is rooted in lore, because the Gnostics, there was a sect of Gnosticism who believed that inside of your asshole was an entire different world and dimension.
It
Okay.
is though.
I
It is.
listen.
You should
Listen.
see.
Billy's like he's bent over the fucking mirror in another mirror.
In
just
the
like, trying to get
century,
the perfect
in the 16th century, there are writings of Paracelsus, and his name is Philippus Areolus Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim.
Why
He is
does
the
his name
fa-
have
That
to be
really
so
good.
long?
Good
he's
for
the
you.
father of the homunculus. Okay, he is the father of modern day toxicology. Because of him, we have anesthesia. Because of this guy, okay, because of this 5-foot little troll looking guy, right?
Tom.
The archetype of the the archetype of the mad scientist. We have writings of his that the church needed to stop the molestation of, right? We know what happens in the church with the
They fuck
boys
little boys, yes.
and all that stuff, right? Not for the sake of
Everyone knows.
not for the sake of stopping that from happening, but because it could lead to anal birth of homunculi.
Oh,
That's the
can't be having
weirdest
that.
fucking shit.
Yeah,
It's
that's gotta
weird in the
stop.
terms of like flipping things on its head, especially with like Luciferianism and Satanism, and having it being like the opposite of what it's actually supposed to be, like through a vaginal birth. That's not nice. Vaginal birth. Like it would be like the flip of that, right? So everything's got to be subverted in some sort of way. Why is the I was gonna say, is the rabbi sucking the penis after they cut the tip of it? Does that have anything to do with magic?
That's
You don't
just
know
some
that, Billy?
that's just
That
some
might be
weirdo
a-
shit, bro.
I was gonna say that might be a different thing.
No, they actually do that.
They actually do that. They circumcise the dick because they think circumcising their dick means they're covenant with God, and then
So
the rabbi's like,
Well,
dick
no,
pops
it's sucking. Oh, it's sucking on the tip. Yeah,
the
okay. I thought you
blood
meant-
after they cut it, man.
It's weird.
If you tell, that's not like, that's the religion is fucked the same way like some of my Christian friends where I'm like, do you eat the body of Christ and drink the blood? I was like, because if you do, that comes strictly from the Vatican, and it's a symbolism of cannibalism.
Yeah, see,
Symbolism,
I like
cannibalism.
what they're doing now. It's bread and wine. It's much.
Yeah, no, but it's
much more
supposed to be.
tame.
It's a ritual.
So when you put it in your mouth, and they believe that when you put it in your mouth and you drink it, at that point that it makes contact, it actually, the molecules turn in, the Holy Spirit swaps out that substitute, the bread, and it's actually the flesh and the blood of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's the whole thing.
I wish I had a sound effect for when we were talking about the Jew sucking the boy penis was, don't you put it in your mouth, don't you put it in that commercial. It's like just telling kids not to put shit in their mouth. It's such a wild thing because I think that reality is not as real as we think it is. I've always thought this. Mushrooms will do that to your brain too. And that it would make kind of sense that there would be ways and rituals like chaos magic. Eventually we'll dive into that in an episode, even if Juan wants to come back on for something like that, because that's like a real thing where you put your intent into something and then you put it out there, and this has happened to numerous people where they do some sort of ritualistic magic and it brings them something, and they've proven that this has happened many times.
Yeah, it's manifestation, but I mean, I think it goes deeper than that. It just shows that I think that intent, and the power of mind or consciousness or whatever it is has some influence over reality itself. I mean, it may be involved, because the thing about chaos magic is because it's all about intent, and it throws out all the mumbo jumbo bullshit of the ceremonial aspect of dressing up and all, which all that has its place too in the whole magical realm of things, because it's meant to.
You gotta feel like you're a wizard, man.
Yeah, putting yourself in that state of mind, putting yourself in that train of thought. So that's why they do all the weird stuff that they do. Now, I do believe that this concept of the homunculus, whether you want to call it a test tube baby, or we know that they're growing, they are growing animals in false matrices nowadays. We know that they're doing clone meat, and the first ever human animal hybrid in 1998 was actually half man, half cow. Okay.
They really love their cows.
Hey,
what is with that shit, man?
If that was
because the bovine blood, you can substitute human parts with a cow, right? That's why you can also substitute. They put pig heart valves in people and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they can use pigs for that. I knew that. Bailey, what were you gonna say?
So, you said that was 1998.
1998, the first ever.
Okay, so what about all the other ones that are claimed to be those? Like people like Obama, just for example, or like Taylor Swift, because
they cloned a sheep in the 80s. That's
or like
they did
yeah,
that
but things like that, like you're saying they weren't from like babies; those were just like pop up ones. Like you're full adult now.
No. So the half cow and half human, it was just like starting to become. They allegedly, again, we have to kill it after 14 days, right?
Yeah.
Wink. No, now you have to kill it. The ethics of it, but so here's where it gets interesting, because you have as far back as the 2nd century BC. Okay, I'm talking about way before Christianity and all these. There were concepts similar to the idea of a homunculus that I've talked about, where the homunculus in the broader scope of things goes from like a metaphysical, right? So here's the timeline. Here's back then, here's now. And it went from like a metaphysical aspect type of thing to kind of physical. And then it takes on a more physical type of thing where like they can create it in the lab. Okay, here we are, false entities, to then back again to this weird metaphysical thing where in the 2nd century BC, the Taoists, they believed, it's funny how history repeats itself, because these monks believed that they could impregnate themselves. Okay. Now hear me out. They would impregnate themselves. Now, whether that was symbolic or literal, we don't know.
Is that like one of the things where like they stick their own penis in their ass and then come inside their asshole?
I was gonna say that. I was like, if it's long enough, I guess.
All right, I don't know about that part, but
you did say you could make a homunculus from the butthole, right?
That's one of the conceptualized recipes, I guess. Like the concept is the literature is there to support that idea. Okay,
there was nothing serious.
There's got to be turkey basters back then too.
So these monks would impregnate themselves, and it's called an immortal embryo. And I've dubbed it
a man monk.
A man. So through meditation, not through putting your dick in your own butt, but through semen retention, because they believe, okay, this was the logic back then. They were like, if me blowing my load inside this woman creates a baby, what happens if I keep it inside?
Yeah.
So, and what happens if I meditate for a very, very long time? Well, I have something grow inside of me. And that's what they believe. They believe that they were growing this immortal embryo. Now, the immortal embryo served a couple of purposes. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the immortal embryo, once it hatched from the guy's forehead and came out into reality, whether that was a real thing or not, who knows, right? We'll leave it up for speculation. The immortal embryo served as, again, another loophole. Here we have this other loophole where as long as there was a living piece of this monk in reality, he would escape samsara. He would escape having to reincarnate, because this little entity would run into nature and be gone. And maybe that's where we get goblins.
Well, I was gonna say this could be to all the
and
cryptids.
you know who coined all that, Tom? You know who coined all those words? Gnome, sylph, Undine, mermaids.
Silly Irish and Scottish people. Just kidding.
No, Paracelsus. Philippus Areolus
Where?
Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. Because of him.
Name,
How
man.
many times have you said that? I just gotta know.
A lot of times.
Just to know, like you speak it so clearly, like it's so
Yeah, bro.
fluent.
Paracelsus.
It is so
The
weird.
only one I know
What about
that
Leprechaun? That definitely comes from the Irish, though.
A magical little man that does what? Leads you to what?
Gold. It's so weird. It is weird, like, because I've heard you talk about this before with the connections to, like, the gold aspect and all these, like, folklore tales about these little people and even, like, some of the fae folk kidnapping kids. We talked about this, Billy, like, it would take kidnapping a baby and then replacing a fairy in the place of the baby, and it's some old, decrepit, old fairy baby. And then they take the real kid into the
That's not what I ordered.
Fairyland. It is. I told you that shit. You're like,
So you see all these. Once you start to see the concept throughout history, it's hard to ignore. So you have the leprechaun, which is like again another weird kind of. And so these monks would. There's stories where it was like a little golden man. There was other stories of that it was a enlightened doppelganger of. So he'd give birth to himself in some sort of weird way, a doppelganger of himself. So, and then it goes from that into the alchemical homunculus, the humanoid weirdness, and then it brings me back to the other side of the spectrum where to add to what you were talking about, Billy, you keep bringing up Barack Obama, Joe Biden, all these other different people in politics. Aleister Crowley in 1917 wrote a grimoire on how to create his own version of a homunculus. And he wrote a book about it in 1929 called Moonchild. And Moonchild is a book about a war between two different lodges over the birth of an unborn child, where they were supposed to invoke an elemental, I believe it was Artemis, into this unborn child. And they were back and forth. The book is actually decently entertaining for an Aleister Crowley book. It was I enjoyed it, I'll be honest.
I'll probably read it for Patreon.
Yes, it sucks to read, but it's necessary. So in this is allegedly the book that inspired Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard to do the Babylon working ritual, which was about invoking Babylon, the Thelemic goddess, right, in Thelema, to incarnate in this reality. So you get the concept of the technology of a homunculus to where they're able to invoke elementals, planetary spirits, archangels, demonic entities, and anything into reality. Because something about these entities, they're not able to interact with reality in some sort of way, but they are if you invoke them into a homunculus or a moonchild. Now, here's the interesting part about that, because
I got one question though. Did Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons really have a duel with magic?
And L. Ron Hubbard?
It was L. Ron Hubbard. I was like, didn't they duel magic?
No, I think that was like Yates. No, that was, I think, McGregor Mathers and I think, again, don't quote me on that.
A wizard duel.
Yeah, they were having like a
Harry Potter came from.
Exactly. So I think I want to say it was Mathers.
Do you think that they're actually like just believe in it? Like
no, so around that time that you're talking about, I think that was around the Boleskine house time where he had some like person die on, like he had multiple people die on the property and all this crazy stuff when he was trying to do the Abramelin ritual. So I mean, there's like a whole weirdness about that. And again,
we'll cover it at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll read about it. But so to bring in the concept of chaos magic, which throws out all the mumbo jumbo ceremonial shit, you have to understand that when it comes to the occult and when it comes to magic, all of these magicians are piggybacking off of one another. And magical systems are meant to be adapted or meant to be changed up to fit the practitioner. Because essentially you're tapping into a force, like Star Wars. You're tapping into something.
You underestimate my power.
Anyone can tap into it. It's just how you tap into it. And when you use that force, you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. But you're still tapping into the same thing. And so Crowley really took it and was like, listen, he knew about the alchemical homunculus because he wrote about it. He's like, this is the alchemical homunculus. You did this, this, and this, but we're not doing that anymore. We're doing this now. And he simplified the process to the point where a homunculus could be a person born under a certain astrological alignment, because the formation of talismans is just that, the alignment of certain celestial spheres. Now, I know some people don't believe in space because space is fake and gay to some people, but just bear with me.
Everything's fake and gay now.
Everything's fake and gay. Just bear with me for 1 second, because he simplified it that much. Why is it that a lot of celebrities have surrogate births? Again, that is
why are they all trans too?
an incubation of the seed in another person, which serves as the vessel, as the sealed vessel, because they weren't penetrated sexually, they were inseminated. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Where's all the...
they're able to pinpoint exactly when that kid's going to come out. And you have the Kardashians boasting about, oh, he's got a Leo moon rising. He's a Leo this, or a Gatorade this, and blah, blah, blah. And broccoli. Like, they're boasting about their astrological alignment because they believe in the power that has. So, Billy, to answer your question, in my opinion, I think that a lot of the people in power are homunculus, in the sense that maybe they were born to a certain family at a certain time, at a certain day, to serve a certain purpose, like the golem who serves one purpose. And that's why you see a lot of nepotism when it comes to politics and when it comes to these royal families, right, that keep it all in the family, and they have little sausage fingers, right?
They
look like little
family slack jaws, you know.
All right, bro.
Where does Crowley's homo magic come into this?
I gotta say,
the bud is magical, bro.
I got two things. The bud is magical. One, that was the longest answer to a question I've ever asked in my entire life. I forgot that I asked it.
I'm relating concepts, bro.
Is it Crowley or Crowley?
Mr.
Some
Crowley.
people
driving me nuts.
Some people call me Crowley because they think I'm foully. Some people call me Crowley because I'm holy, something like that. He wrote about it. You can call him whatever the fuck you want. Fuck him.
Okay, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
gotcha.
You remember what he did to that child in the
he probably doesn't care about the pronunciation.
He
of
broke
his
his brain with his asshole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, that because I get that all a lot of times when I do like a short or something like that. I'm like, oh, you're saying it wrong, you retard. I'm like, actually, if you fucking read a book once in your life, you'd fucking see that I'm actually saying it correctly. So because it's Ozzy Osbourne, Mr. Crowley.
That's
why people think of that.
Fucking no,
me, but yeah.
Meanwhile, I've talked about the actually people. Actually, and it's just like, no, you just read that somewhere and then you think it's the correct thing, but it's probably not.
Yeah, we're actually reading fucking books around here and actually doing research, unlike some fucking retards on the internet.
Fucking, like this TikTok video told me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
So there's different homunculuses, right? There's different ones you can create, supposedly, right?
So, and that's why I mentioned about the magical system being changed up, because it got to the point where they're like, all right, I get this sort of homunculus if I mix human sperm with woman's blood. Now, what happens if I take bird blood and I mix it with this other thing? Or what, instead of using a dog dick, I use a donkey dick? So there was stories of these alchemists that, again, and I believe this is why we have stories of harpies, of minotaurs, of centaurs, all these weird concoctions of animals, because there is an alchemical component to a lot of these ancient stories. Now, if we trace back the origins of alchemy, which they say came from these angelic beings coming down and fucking the daughters of men and giving them the secrets, alchemy goes back a long, long time. So it would make sense that the Greeks were also practicing alchemy. They say that alchemy originated in Egypt, okay, with Hermes Trismegistus and
Trismegistus, man.
Yeah, Thoth and all those guys. But again, they say that a lot, that in the Bible, all these biblical patriarchs were able to live for so long because they use alchemy, because they had the elixir of life. Because there's always like, why the hell these guys live for so long? And when you look into it, Noah, Moses, all these guys were some of the greatest alchemists of all time, because alchemy is exposing the occulted aspects of nature. Okay,
and
it's
they
not
think they were
bad.
connected to like essentially the Anunnaki and these like different entities that existed and came down here and then passed on their bloodlines. According to some people, right? There's different versions of where we think these people come from, why they existed when they did, what did they do, how did didn't he have like Noah had like his son and daughter? He had
He had
like
a bunch of sons,
yeah, and then how they have kids? He's fucking his kids. They make homunculus from the buttholes.
Listen, dude. I mean, there's various
He didn't bring many
interpretations of that they say that one of the women was actually a Nephilim. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things when you really look into it. But who knows? I mean, maybe they were all homunculi, bro. They're all just,
I got 2 bad questions too, just because I don't want to get caught up in the next story when I got more questions. What the fuck did the half man, half cow look like? Was it like front?
It was an
half
embryo.
man?
So
just
never
an
made it
embryo.
into.
Oh, I thought you were saying it fully developed.
Yeah. No. Again, remember the ethics is 14 days. You can't let it live after 14 days.
Yeah,
but they figured out a loophole.
I thought you were saying this one kind of skipped the.
Yeah, no.
But
But no,
if you were
but
be a hybrid homunculus, what would you be?
no, but it's interesting that
That's
this
kind
is
of an interesting
1998, Billy, right? That
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
talking about this.
Yeah.
How would they know in the 9th century that a cow was compatible with a human?
Yeah, that's weird.
So they were experimenting with this sort of stuff. I
Yeah,
believe that they were
see.
actually doing this sort of stuff, and
Mhm.
that they were able to at least replicate these conditions, not maybe once or twice, and they were able to create some sort of. I have a story about a guy in the 80s who allegedly it's actually a really good book that he was for some guy in Utah. Anyways, it's this whole weird thing, but it turns out that he had some demonic possession stuff after the fact. I'll send you the book, Tom. It's it's actually really entertaining the way that guy goes about. He's fucking unhinged, but the concept
I love
of
this type of people. I'm one of them.
if we talk about like Frankenstein, allegedly, allegedly, Mary Shelley was inspired by Dipple, which was an alchemist of the time at Castle Frankenstein that was allegedly messing around with cadavers and doing soul transference and trying to figure it all out. But he was an alchemist, and she was around in Germany around the same time, and
saw something.
or
Maybe
heard
she
a
fucked
story.
Frankenstein, who knows?
All right,
but
quick,
like,
quick on the second one. I had
Okay.
the second one too. In all honesty, okay, how many donkeys are in China? I thought that was like a Middle East thing. Like, where did they get all
Billy's
these
got the
dicks?
weirdest questions about this shit, man.
Let's see here, donkey.
There's not that many donkeys in China.
Okay, but so when I'm
can't-
curious. So when
like-
you're talking about
11 million as of 19, just under
Are there really?
2 million from 11 million in 1992, bro.
I mean, I've never been there,
You're
but like,
fascinated
you
by
don't
the
hear
weirdest
about
questions,
that.
Oh wait, hold on. China's donkey population has fallen more than 80% to just
'cause
under
they-
2 million from 11. That's a lot of donkey
They
dicks,
keep
bro.
cutting off their dicks. They can't
Yeah.
repopulate.
Watched a lot of retarded people. Spent time with them, observed them.
Look at this. February 15, 2024. Millions of donkeys killed each year to make medicine. Yeah, we know what they're
Weird,
making with
man.
that shit.
Yeah, that's so weird. So
And they take their balls too. Wow.
I've heard about that. So Juan, when you're talking about like way back in the 9th century and some of the when they were practicing doing this sort of like alchemy, and do you believe that like history has been scrubbed and changed in a way that it is fitting for the people nowadays to persuade them away from thinking that we are more than just this physical vessel and stuff like that? And when you're talking about this stuff, is it like magically they're creating it from like manifestation with like their mind and their intention and doing like essentially some magical kind of practices, black magic type things? Or do you think that they had technology that we're not being told they had, where they were artificially creating these things?
What do you think? I'm trying to figure it out too, bro.
I know,
And that's the beautiful part about this because dude, trust me, I've gone on like some normie shows of people who aren't even open to any of these concepts, and they think I'm trolling, but I have all the I can give you all my sources And maybe here's the problem with the falsified history that I don't like, because recently I've been looking into Fomenko and Anatoly Fomenko, and the idea that they added 1,000 years to history, and that the Greek and Roman history was actually an invention of the church to throw everybody
Gregorian
off.
calendar, like they just changed it all of a sudden.
Well, we have the seasons, so I mean they can't be off by that much because we can see
Yeah.
the changes in nature, and nature doesn't lie. But the concept of the Roman and Greek part of history being an invention of the church, like completely fabricated, to me is a bit far-fetched, because who the hell would have come up with Pythagoras? Who came up with Plato? Who came up with Aristotle? Who came up with all these other the entire Greek religion, the entire Roman religion?
There's people that believe that Jesus was Caesar's Messiah and that they created Jesus to fit their agenda, which that's what some people believe. I don't know if necessarily I do, but
listen, dude, who know? We weren't there to know, but would I say it's all fabricated? No, but how many times in school did they tell you about the creation of homunculi and the use of all these magical things, and the fact that Jabir bin Hayyan, the reason we have the word gibberish comes from a famous alchemist of the 8th or 9th century, Jabir bin Hayyan, who
they're making fun of him.
No, but because again, not because they're making fun of him, because he wrote so many books. They're like, this guy couldn't have written. So he wrote almost 5,000 books. Okay, and some of them were about homunculi. And
how does
so
that guy have that much time, man?
Well,
you would have to be writing.
That's all you do. You got nothing else.
No. So in ancient times, there's something called pseudepigraphy. And what pseudepigraphy is the attribution of a text to a more famous person of antiquity. And the reason that they would do that was because not only did it serve as a pen name, because the Liber Vaecae is actually attributed to Plato.
Like Shakespeare.
Well, that's a whole other can of worms. But the Liber Vaecae, the one that I was telling you guys about, is actually attributed to Plato, and it's between a dialogue between Galen, one of the first ever physicists ever, right, and Plato, and he's like talking to him about the creation of all these things. And so the reason that they would do that is because it serves as a pen name, and also because it would give some credibility and some novelty to what you just wrote. So people would be more inclined to pick up a book that was written by fucking, I don't know, George Washington than Tom
so
Cat.
They had ghostwriters, right? Mm-hmm. They had ghostwriters to kind of, and then it would amplify their message, so to speak, right?
Or maybe it had some magical undertone to it. Maybe that name was magical in some sort of way. We know that Plato talked about the Grapha Dogmata, the unwritten doctrine. So maybe was he hinting at something like this that we're talking about, where it's like this blasphemous part of nature that they don't teach us about, because they don't teach. Alchemy is woo-woo. It's how you're saying, were they coming up with these things in their mind? Well, another form of a homunculus is a servitor, like a tulpa, a thought form, a projection of your subconscious, right? Where it's funny because they overlay that over our brain. But what if we are able to create these astral entities? And who knows? I mean, that's what they say Bigfoot is. That's what they say the UFO is. All these concepts of,
like
I think the truth is stranger than fiction, bro. And I think I think it was both, bro. I think that there was a symbolic aspect to it, because Paracelsus talked about it. He's like, there's a spiritual aspect of it. You have to love your homunculus before you can love yourself, type of thing. We all have a homunculus deep down inside ourselves, and if you can love it, and it's supposed to be the creation of a homunculus to some was a perversion of nature, was blasphemous, was against everything that God put on earth, and to some other people was the magnum opus, the number one thing that man could achieve as a man, because he wasn't, it brought him closer to God. It brought him closer to divinity, because he was able to create this thing out of nothing. So you have two polarizing aspects of the same thing, two sides of the same coin. And it's like, where do you stand? Well, I think I 100% think it was possible, dude. And they're doing it today, bro. Look it up. You got Jeff Bezos looking for the elixir of immortality. What kind of title for a news outlet is that? Like, they know about this. They know about this shit, and they're looking for it. it's like Manly P. Hall said. Manly P. Hall said that the alchemist, the only thing that's changed from the alchemist of antiquity and the alchemist of today is that the alchemist of antiquity was in a cave, and the alchemist of today is within four walls with a white lab coat.
Yeah,
Same
it's
shit.
true. Well, and then that's why I believe that some of the reason what's happening overseas is to create Babylon again. In my opinion, they want to go back because I believe that the people that exist in Israel aren't Jewish at all. They're Khazarian, and they are essentially wanting to bring about another Babylon and being able to control and try to reach God. Because, and that's the weirdest thing too about all this stuff is they, like a lot of these people, and it's not just people, the Jewish people, there's other people that believe in this in other religions, that, you know, they have to use their magical book to achieve these certain things that they've been obviously somewhat conditioned to believe has to exist for them to exist and stuff like that. So it is pretty interesting, the fact that all this stuff kind of connects, and there's all these weird rituals. Like a lot of religious, you know, doctrine is like rituals that people end up doing every day. You go to church and you pray through a temple, and all your energy gets sucked through that temple, and then who's sucking that energy up? And what are your thoughts, right? Because are your thoughts just dropped in there? Do you actually think your own thoughts? Or are they just taken from somewhere else and dropped in your head?
Yeah, don't start me on that loop. You're gonna make me go fucking crazy.
So Billy has an aneurysm on the stream.
I think that the concept of writing is a magical process. If you think about, and it's a magical technology, if you think about all the world's major religions, all of them, they all have one thing in common. It all stems from writing. So ancient books hold all these religions together. Quite literally.
A few more things in common, but
yeah, well, they have a few more things, but it all essentially goes back to this book says this, so therefore it's this. Okay, because of this record. That's all it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's a lot more to that than just that, but it's writing hold, in my opinion, vowels hold reality together. That's why some of these cultures that you're talking about, even the Jews, they don't put vowels when they, when they mention God, they put G/D.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you can't say, the name of God can't be talked about. The creation of the golem, they're called shems, the letters that they use to create these golems, and they believe that inside these letters, all right, the tetragrammaton, which is the four letters of the name of God, those letters, you're able to unravel reality from that. And you're able to, it's so powerful that if you put it on this thing that looks like a man, it will animate it and bring it forth that, you can speak it into life. So writing is magical.
So when I'm writing rhymes about fuck Trudeau, it's like a magical poem, and then he's being like, people want to fuck me?
So poems, Crowley used poems, or I'm sorry, I don't think it was Crowley. I think it was William Burroughs.
Yeah.
It was William Burroughs that used poems to fight off demonic possession. So poems serve a purpose. And maybe that's why, again, the whole hip hop industry, we're seeing all this weirdness now with P. Diddy. We know that they're doing crazy sexual shit with people. We know that they involve, obviously, the children.
Tupac's faking gay too, man. That disappointed me, even though I saw that video years ago. And I
he was zesty. He's zesty.
Oh, no, back the fuck up. What did you just say?
Tupac is faking gay.
What do you mean fake?
It's pretty sad. So
like,
there's a
real?
video, and I remember seeing this.
Is that the conspiracy?
Well, I remember seeing this video years ago. We're going to talk about Tupac. I want to this summer at some point, the conspiracy of him faking his death. But I'm going to add some of this stuff in because there was a video that got released. And I remember seeing it. It was when he was 17 or whatever. And then I didn't put two and two together when I was younger, but he's acting very like feminine and being like, oh, my mother, and like just, and then 2 years later, when he's like 19, 20, when he got into the hip hop industry, he was like, oh, thug life, fuck
MK Ultra, bro.
Pop, 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 shooting people, getting shot, all that sort of shit.
If you read Fritz Springmeier.
Yeah.
Fritz Springmeier, the formula, the Illuminati formula on how to create an undetectable mind-controlled slave, etc., etc. I probably said it all wrong, but in that, Fritz Springmeier talks about the use of a homunculus because it's about, and this is where the homunculus
Tupac
really
looks like one.
Starts to, I think all rappers are homunculi in there, and homunculi in the sense that they are, when you take a homunculus and you create it, it's an empty vessel.
Mainstream, like some of these weird ones, like what's that demon bitch? Not the really weird one.
Billie Eilish?
No.
Well, she's kind of part of it. She's
Yeah.
black. She's a rapper. Fucking chicks like her. I can't think of her name.
Whatever. Nicki Minaj. Anyway, who cares?
One of those freaks.
Anyways.
Some researchers believe that homunculi were actually artificial demons. Okay, that you were creating this blasphemous sort of thing. They also speculated that when you were creating this thing, some people thought they would acquire godlike powers, but some others believe that you would become a demon and therefore it would drive you to create this. And if you think about this, let's say that the Nephilim were real and that they were divine entities and that they knew they could somehow see across space and time, and they knew that they were going to be taken out by God through the flood, right? The deluge. And energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. So when all these Nephilim and all these entities that were created during these times were wiped out by the flood, that energy went somewhere. And that's where we get demons and all these demonic aspects, because there were angry spirits still roaming around. Exactly. So the concept of, if the Nephilim passed this alchemical knowledge down to the daughters of men, what if it was like a failsafe for them to be like, all right, well, we're going to give them this technology. They're going to create homunculi later, and we're just going to inhabit those homunculi and reincarnate back into this reality. They say that the cow mutilations, according to, I think it's Gary Wayne, talks about that they're taking all that bovine blood and they're stockpiling it in some underground military base for the Nephilim, to create bodies for the Nephilim. Because where the fuck is all the blood going?
It's weird because we talked about that in the reptilian episode of the idea of them reincarnating back into like these vessels, these humanoid vessels, either if they're actually human or maybe they're like a creation, and then if they die, they just reincarnate. Like we think that, some of these people that have died, like the Rothschild, that he just died, and he could just be reincarnated at this point right now. And it'd be interesting if it's reincarnation into a full-grown body and they're just able to place their consciousness maybe through like magically, like not synthetically, like kind of
that's
thing,
another
right?
homunculus concept though, bro. These magicians would use the homunculi to transfer their consciousness into a younger body, so that's part of it, bro.
Yeah, I think it's Cardi B. There's a video of Cardi B like in a fucking corner and she's bald and shit, and people think she's like a demon. There's like this video that got released and supposedly
No, you're talking about Doja Cat.
Oh, Doja, that's it. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking. That's really
that
weird.
creepy bitch. Yeah,
and she's super. There's a weird video of her. She's all bald and sketched out like in a corner, like it looks like an abandoned house.
Yeah,
and it's just like there's some weird shit going on with like all these people and their connections, and then they're influencing society, and it could be like all these puppet strings that are all connected kind of to the same thing. All
it's the physics of subtle energy. Read that book. That's not the name, but I got it somewhere. But
find it with that.
What is the exact parameters to create a homunculus? Like what would you have to do from scratch?
Actually, I just want to know when they're gonna like come out with like the cheap version, like the dollar store version, that I can just go buy one. Oh, that's my new conspiracy. Is they did have it. They're like, we want to put this out to the public, but then they came out with Tamagotchi instead, and they're like, if they can keep those fuckers alive, we'll see. And we all failed. Because we got high behind a dumpster.
You can mix blood, semen, and then you're like whispering spells to it and stuff.
No. So one of the first recipe, one of the more simple ones includes.
This is the Down syndrome version.
It includes this is the one from the 16th century of Philippus Areolus Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim, Paracelsus. He talked about you take your semen, right, and you put it in a vessel, right? So you put it in a jar, and you put it in horse or cow manure, right, in the warmth, and you bury it in there, and you let it marinate for 40 days, okay? And once you let it marinate for 40 days, you come back and it's going to be something that's going to look transparent. And then you're going to feed it the acronym of blood, which we don't know what the fuck that is, but the acronym of blood for 3 days. And when you do that, it's going to grow a body. It's going to grow skin. It's going to be a little man inside a vessel. Okay. And then there.
Do it sucks on your penis as like a breast milk?
I'm sure that there was alchemists doing that, but. There you go, bro. That's it right there. You let the sperm marinate inside a jar for 40 days inside of cow manure, and you come back and you
Did
got
they ever
yourself
make
a little
like a
homunculus.
retarded one? Like some guy made a homunculus and then he's like, it's running into the walls and he has to like suffocate
It's
it.
not working.
Sorry, my love. Sorry. And it's like killing its like child.
Yeah, dude, there's stories of the Arnaldian homunculus where it was this guy from the church who allegedly would create the homunculus, and he let people watch him create the homunculus. They're like, yo, this is crazy. And then he'd be like, nope. And he'd like, well, what are you doing? You just killed it. He goes, yeah, I don't know if God died for that thing's sins. Like, you know, I got to get rid of it ASAP because it might be inhabited by some demonic spirit or something. And they're like, wait, yeah. And then there was other guys who were like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Homunculi have no souls. We're like, oh, shit. So then can it be possessed by a soul? Well, we don't know, and I'm not going to let it stick around for long to find out.
Because there's definitely energies. Listen, like that could be possible, right? Like if there is demonic energies and things that inhabit people's bodies through possession, a lot of the stuff that all of us have talked about on the show at some point. And then if you had some sort of vessel that was able for some sort of, you know, soul or energy to exist inside of it and to move its limbs, because there's like entities that supposedly can take hold of like objects and stuff like that, you know, make things dance or move books around and be able to manipulate, you know, reality in that way. But if you had this thing and then all of a sudden some sort of soul off the street, there's like all these different theories of souls that exist in some sort of purgatory that are walking around, may not even know that they're dead, and then somehow they get like sucked into this vessel. And then who knows? You got like Charles Manson, like a little thing that looks like this. It's like, goddamn, we gotta get those hippies, man, get a little acid in them, get them fucked up and bury a hole in the desert, you know.
So I think that's what Dahmer was trying to do. I think Dahmer was trying to create some sort of homunculus. If you think about the dude who he had folded up, you know, if he was putting it in his butt, that would serve as a vessel. And we know he was trying to create an altar
of them, man.
Yeah. So that's another aspect of the homunculus, the zombie, the MK Ultra mind control type of thing. It all fits into this narrative, but it's much more simplified now, Billy. So this idea of
on your show, we'll do Jeffrey Dahmer the homunculus.
So if you know, the concept of it is much more simplified nowadays, and I think it's real. I think it's a real thing. I think that, I don't know if you want to play my clip of the Drake homunculus, my speculation.
Yeah. First, what can I get my homunculus to do? Can I get it to kill for me?
I have contained my rage for as long as
you could probably do whatever you want to it.
My favorite depiction,
like the crashing of 1,000 waves.
You can't see it, but he's mowing the lawn here. He's mowing the lawn.
That's so
that's
funny.
not bad.
Yeah,
you
just get like be your little slave, man. You know what I mean? You can go to work. My boss is like, "Who's this midget version of Tom?" It's like me, but like even smaller. Like I look like some sort of leprechaun creature. That's so funny.
He's mowing the lawn there.
It's like teaching him how to run the laser.
Yeah, you could.
That's so funny because you can get, essentially it can be your slave, right? And you can get it to kind of do. That's so funny. He's like really trying to push the chainsaw.
That's what they like. They like
the
that. Must have
lawnmower.
came out right around the time that people started caring about children. They're like, we can't get them to do it anymore. It's your turn.
That's so crazy. Yeah, because you could essentially be your subjugated slave.
I don't know how. That's pretty.
That's cool.
Those are pretty sweet.
The moon showers. So like. I guess would his hands be the size of my hands, but he'd be tiny, right? So he could jerk
No, he'd
me
be
off.
little. Yeah. He could. Your micro dick, he'd definitely be able to jerk you off.
But he has massive hands. If his hands are like fucking huge,
that's
how big
the
is this guy,
cortex man, bro. That's the. So there's an account from the 18th century, Johann Ferdinand von Kufstein, who has the Guinness World
He's
Record.
Definitely Jewish.
No, he's German. So he actually has the world record for the world's largest homunculi. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. You can look it up right now.
You got it. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I mean, this has been a thing for a long time, and I did a clip on a speculation that I had. I think it's on Facebook, it's at 90K. On Instagram, it's at like 60 or 70K. And then on TikTok, it's like at another 50 or something K. So people are calling me a retard.
Go into Google and you type Guinness Book of World Records largest H, it's just human penis. Is the first thing that fucking comes up.
I think I have it here. Let me see if I can. The world's largest homunculi. Look at it. It's it is real. It is real. Check this shit out. Look, it's right there.
Yeah, there you go.
World's weird.
What do you got? Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Yeah,
Click it. It'll come up. It'll talk about Johann Ferdinand.
Wow.
Von
Is
Kufstein.
that the tallest man in the world? Same guy?
Homunculi were living like entities reportedly created during medieval
Austria.
times.
No.
Weird, man.
And again, dude, when I talk about this, like, listen, I know how it sounds, guys. I know it sounds fucking crazy. It
I
sounds
thought the
wild.
reptilian shit was crazy.
No. I'm telling, like, listen, I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds bizarre. This is history. Because of these guys, we have chemistry. The guy who invented porcelain accidentally. Good point.
Throne.
Good point. Right. Good. The golden throne. But oh damn, that's a nice connection because the guy who invented porcelain actually did it. Invented it on by accident because he was trying to create the magnum opus. He was looking for the philosopher's stone and was like, what the fuck is this? I just created porcelain. And he created this entire industry. How you're saying the golden throne. So it makes nice connection.
Know what? Maybe Elvis, when he died on the porcelain throne, he became homunculus in his own right. You know, they believe there's videos. They think he's a reptilian, man. There's videos of him fucking looking at a little girl, and his face is all doing weird shit, shifting shit.
His face was doing weird shit like constantly, and I think that was
all the drugs and shit.
Yeah.
No, but like the camera was like messing up, and the girl got visibly scared of him at the same time when this transformation was happening on his face, because cameras pick up all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows, right? And the thing is, like, I've always been like, who knows? Anything is possible in my head. Like, I've had the weirdest experiences on mushrooms and stuff like that, where I feel like there's things around me. We were watching American Horror Story in London. I've said this before. Then outside by a fire, and I felt like this dome around me, and I felt like there was like people around me watching. And Chelsea's like, "Don't tell me that." I was like, it was fucking weird. There's like, and I think it can connect you to stuff that is outside of our reality. And you said that essentially you could eat a piece of the homunculi, right? And then it would give you powers in some regard. So if you ate his penis, would your penis like just be ginormous all of a sudden?
You'd have to do it to find out. But for example, if you
go gadget dick.
I think one of them is if you wrapped its spleen or its liver in the skin of its forehead, you could like see demons or something. So it's like weird stuff like that. Yeah, like if you
reminds me of Constantine, man, the movie and comic book too.
With Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Just
if you take its blood and put it on your feet, you can walk on water.
That's what Jesus was doing.
Well, again, listen, dude, like I said, this is history and I'm just reading stuff and I'm just repeating it and I'm trying to process it like everybody else, bro.
It's just interesting that you kind of like, we've known each other for like years at this point now, and how you've kind of created this, you've dived into something so deeply where it like fascinated you so much where it was like a dog digging for a bone, and you just kind of kept going because there's so much that you were uncovering as you were going through this type of stuff. Because it definitely seems like that you look into this, you're like, that's weird, because I do this all the time. That's weird. That's why I was so fascinated by some of the stuff going on with Israel, because I was like, oh man, what the fuck does this mean? And then I just kept going, and I was like, oh, there's some really dark shit going down that tunnel.
Speaking of dark shit and dogs, play that Drake clip, bro, so we can dive into that.
What did he do with dogs?
I don't. I mean, I can pull it up
Nothing
here.
to the good boys.
No,
So
well, you know about that.
Here, we'll get weird. We'll get weird in a second.
Okay,
So
yeah.
here we go.
Oh,
Go ahead
yeah.
and share.
So here's Juan's.
What did Drake?
So can you guys hear this?
Yeah.
Look
Are
at
you
this
ready?
shit, Billy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Do
Look at this comment. Bro, call a person with disabilities.
I
Alright,
can't
listen.
read that. Huh?
Listen. All right, watch it. Yeah, just literally Google it. Should have more respect for Mr. Alvarez. I know it's funny to talk about a homunculus. I'd love to take any opportunity to say the word homunculus. all right, for all this
These
time.
people hate you.
to the homunculus?
They fucking hate me.
A little.
It kinda
He's
looks-
little. He's a man. The feud between Kendrick and Drake continues to develop. Some very serious allegations have been thrown around, and it's taken a bizarre turn. Someone being called the Riddler, who goes by the handle Ebony Prince 2K24, posted an ominous picture on X recently. This is a picture of what looks like the inside of the Caviar Caspia, located in the Mark Hotel. Sporting the black and white line pattern, of course. They offer private dining and pride them.
Look at my shirt. Look what it says. I'm not saying it's homunculus, but it's homunculus.
I want to do that, the reptilian shit.
The picture has a date and timestamp of January 22nd, 2023 at 3:19. In the picture, we see reporter Christopher Alvarez and two other figures, one of which is speculated to be Drake himself. The picture was accompanied by the following message. To Mr. Aubrey Graham, may this picture help jog your memory as to where you discarded those items. The issue in the photo should jog your memory. Jimmy Brooks would not have been proud of you that night. He is referencing the items that appeared on the cover art for Kendrick's song, Meet the Grahams. Alvarez has come out and confirmed he was indeed with Drake that night, but has denied any of the allegations that have
He's trying
surfaced.
so hard not to touch it.
Listen, dude.
I know,
So
but, like
That
at
is a
that art,
weird
like he's
looking.
like, I don't want to.
That is a weird looking man. Like I've seen a lot of midgets in my day. I know we had a fan of the way I speak out. Somewhat a fan of my political talk. And I posted a clip of me and Billy talking about
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut the clip off. We can keep watching the
midgets.
clip.
And then I don't want to bring it. Oh, yeah.
So you see the same
they got
pattern
mad.
here.
They got mad. You can't use that word anymore. But they got mad at Billy. They didn't get mad at me, and I said shit too. But they're like, "That's insensitive. Your friend is an asshole."
I said was it was so specific. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
fuck
This
'em.
is that's a famous guy. I know that guy.
You ever seen Twin Peaks?
No, everyone tells me I should watch it though.
No, I haven't. What is this?
You should watch Twin Peaks.
Okay,
Alright.
I've had
What
literally
is it like a
20
TV
people tell
show
me to
or
watch
what is it?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
TV
yeah.
show.
Original
Oh, yeah.
series. Yeah,
It is
okay.
weird because that Drake, that guy that Drake's with, it like I said, I've seen a lot of dwarf people in my life, but like it's just weird because if you think about like what they describe some of these homunculi to look like, it's
So
strange.
I have more evidence. So take my screen down real quick. I'm gonna pull up
Okay.
the evidence that. So the allegations that I'm hinting at in that particular, obviously I can't go. I only have about a minute. I have 250 words that I have to work with whenever I make one of these shorts.
Yeah,
and
I know.
the allegations that they were talking about was that Drake. The first allegation was that Drake unplugged his ventilator. Okay, right. That he unplugged his ventilator and that he did something to him. That he assaulted him. Other people were speculating.
Because why is he hanging out with? Why was he even hanging out with him?
So some other people think that he unplugged his ventilator. Whatever. Other people think that he diddled him. Right. And other people think that. Well, dude, remember once you achieve a certain level of once you get so many bitches,
Yeah.
you want to start getting weirder and weirder and more deprived because
Yeah, me
you
and
need
Billy talk about
something.
this all the time.
You need something new to really rile you up. So it
We
would
just
make
talked
sense.
about the red shoe. It won't be out at the point. This should be out maybe at the point this is. But we talked about the red shoe society, where it's like you become so depraved. They're like, oh, let's just make let's make shoes out of Heather Roke.
The other allegation is that Drake is into is into dogs in that sort of way. Okay, so he's into.
Oh, he's bestiality. He's into.
I don't want to say that, but yeah, and
Twitch allows us to say just weird ass shit.
Oh, really? All right. Well,
I've watched like documentaries about fucked up shit on Twitch. I don't know how it lets me, but
interesting. So here, let me pull up the. So Drake just came. So right now we've had the.
I hate Drake. Too.
We've had the Drake and Kendrick beef, and there's been some allegations come out. Like I said,
why were they beefing? I didn't even care to pay attention. Just like
I kind of liked it.
It's a whole thing, bro. So let's see here. What's
Billy,
it called?
what do you know?
First,
there's quite a bit of backstory. So yeah, basically from the end of it, at the end of the day, it was Drake started it, I guess. God knows what happened behind. I think
with J. Cole. It was with J. Cole.
Yeah, well, even before that. So yeah, Drake came out with one, and then J. Cole kind of like bounced in on it, and then Kendrick came out with one, and then J. Cole kind of redacted everything he said. And then here we are with
Rappers
everyone
beef
only knowing.
It just inflames their
you know what's wild though? They came out with 10 songs total, or I think it was 11 back to back, like between the two of them, just dissing each other. And like out of all of those songs, Everyone knows that one sentence. It's the same one that everyone keeps saying. It's from the Meet or Like Us by Kendrick. For the trying to strike a chord, it was probably A minor.
Oh yeah,
Down.
That's the only one that stuck out of all of it. Dude, out of those 11 songs, I sat down, I listened to every single one of them. Fucking,
I'm not a fan.
2 of them were good.
So
they were all crap. They were all so bad.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure.
I can't find. Anyways, I can't find the clip, but in first person shooter, right? So there's various allegations. Mind you, it takes a dog dick to create a homunculus.
Oh, I
know
that.
Specifically a dog.
We remember that part.
Is it a dog dick or is it God's dick? I don't know, bro. I mean, it might have been a mistranslation. God backwards is dog backwards is God. There's something about that concept. There's something about
God's dick looks like.
Well,
there's something.
It would be God's vagina or a dog's dick then.
There's something about the concept of being God's flesh that's also esoteric and occult. But in the pull up my screen real quick.
Yeah, I got it for you.
But it's I'm not gonna play this, but in the song First Person, which is what started all the beef with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. It was all with J. Cole and everything. But in this particular song,
I don't even know what this guy looked like. Wow.
There's a part where
I didn't listen to this one.
And this part here, and this is the part that is not a good look for your boy Drake, because there's a thing where he's listing off all these dogs with their names, and he's like, her name is Christine Maldine. Like, he's saying all these names, and all these dogs have different names on their collars. Now, that could be occulted for something. Like maybe the dogs represent something else, which that's completely possible, right? Like the dog dick might not be a dog dick. It might be something completely different. The cow carcass might be because that's the thing about alchemy. It's layered on top of one another. But let's say that it is a physical thing. Let's say it is the real thing. Here he's talking about dogs, right? And it's weird because Drake makes Fan dress up like a dog during one of his concerts. He makes a dude dress up as a dog and go on stage with him. So it's kind of weird, right? Like, why is he making this dude dress up like a dog and like be in his show with him? And then Kendrick Lamar says in one of his lines in Euphoria, he goes, and I think it was Euphoria or Meet the Grams, I can smell the tails on you, right? It's TALES, but again, it could be interpreted as TAILS, right? Tails.
Yeah, I'd always assume
dogs.
Like, when you're talking about something like I got my dogs with me, it's I kind of took it as
well.
Like,
the album is
you're super higher, like you're the lion with all
N-words,
your fucking
right?
puppies.
You're like homies.
Like
the album is called For the Dogs. In it, there's references to like he's like, yo, girl, I know your pussy's a cat, but can it do the dog? Like what? Like why would you want a pussy to be a like? It's just weird stuff.
Yeah,
right?
you can read into like anything, and it's so weird because
exactly,
I've been a fan of Mark Dice for a lot of fucking since I was like 16, and he was like bringing up shit about like the homo magic stuff with Drake, like that's so long ago, like I can't like probably like 10 years ago, if not more, and talking about the whole idea that they're like doing, you know, kind of Crowley style, like black magic-ish kind of thing, and doing sex magic to invoke like demons or whatever, and essentially to help their fame and their careers by doing these weird magical practices that would explode them into fame. And you know, you got like Birdman kissing Lil Wayne and all that just weird shit, and people are gonna get mad, but you know, people get mad at all the shit I say. So it's like invoking, like, you know, it's a perversion, it's flipping. You know, homosexuality is the opposite of what it is to be heterosexual and to mate with a female partner and to lock in the key to the lock to turn it, and you know, and then and then a baby comes out, you know, technically. Where do you think my ghost babies went? You think they're homunculus out in the universe? Just kidding.
Ghost babies, like the spirits of babies?
No, like when you, no, he knows. When you,
yeah.
Like on the tummies ones.
Oh yeah, I think that has something. I think there is something about semen retention that works, and I do think that there's something about spreading your seed everywhere, because Paracelsus, Philippus Areolas, Theophrastus Bombastus Bonhoeffer, he talked about that that all these monsters and the Paracelsian monsters were actually right. These creatures that we hear about antiquity it was actually jizz from the Nephilim, from the giants. They were just jizzing all over the earth. Boom, boom, come shot over here, come. And from there, from his sperm would grow a monster. And he says that if you weren't, and then I'm paraphrasing, but if you weren't cream pieing your wife, you needed to be castrated. That's what Paracelsus said, bro. Like, he's like, listen, if you're not using your sperm for good, cut them off, because it's gonna rot you from the inside out because of all the homunculi sperm that's inside your sac. It's gonna eat you from the inside out.
What if I keep it in like a jar or something?
So what about wait a minute? What about people that get a vasectomy? Because you're not cutting off your balls, you're just cutting off the highway to let it go out.
They didn't know about that, bro.
No. I mean, like today. What happens? Those are kind of the same as like just not jacking off the ball, right? Because it's not going. No, because you're still producing everything. It's just not coming out of your dick.
Really? You're still producing it?
I believe so. I could be totally fucking wrong. I assumed it was the highway.
Shit.
I thought it was the highway from your balls to like outside.
If
Is it the other side?
A vasectomy,
do you still produce sperm, or like at least create it?
Yeah, but it doesn't come out.
Yeah. Weird.
You can still ejaculate after a vasectomy, but the semen will not contain sperm. So do you still create sperm? Do you?
Is that? Am I wrong about that? Is it not the highway from the balls?
Well, now they want everyone to have less kids, the population control.
You still continue to produce sperm after a vasectomy.
Wow. So there's
the sperm die and are absorbed by the body, so you're gonna be making hella homunculus. You're just gonna be like
that's what I mean.
Enlightened as fuck, like fucking just jizzing dudes out of your fucking head.
Manifest in your body, and you got like a little Bob on. His name's Bob. I don't know why, but he's got like he comes out of your fucking side. He's like, "Help me!" He like fucking comes
just
out your
kill
stomach.
me.
That's fucked, man.
That could be a good Family Guy skit. I'd watch that.
And we were talking about doing this for a while, just because like I wanted Billy to kind of like hear about this stuff, because it is just
pretty cool.
So bizarre.
I want to get your honest take on this, Billy. Like, what do you think, bro? Coming from like not knowing anything at all to having this crash course in these cum shot homunculi, like, what's your what's your opinion and your verdict on the homunculi? Is it real? Like, are you convinced? Or are you not? Yeah, be honest, bro.
See, I am the most wishy-washy fucking person you're ever gonna meet. I love the idea of everything. Fuck, it sounds more realistic than religion. I'll give it that. But like,
that says a lot.
Yeah, like to actually come up with a verdict to be like yes or no, I would need to personally go a little bit more deep myself, because
it's so bizarre. Like it's very bizarre, especially for
it is.
If you
a
told
little
this
fucking
to someone
wild.
that never like dived into conspiracies or any stuff, even like
here's
even
the
top
too.
level conspiracy people that like 9/11 is an inside job, or like just the surface level people, they would be like, you're just making that up. You're just making connections, just to because you can make connections from anything, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sure a lot of people do.
Here's the massive difference, though, is whether like what the mass majority of people are going to believe in something or not is, and like, fuck, I'm actually going to compliment them. Juan, you're a very well-spoken person. So when you say something, I'm like, huh, but I'm like, that can get you also in trouble.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because there are
Charles
very
Manson
well-spoken
knows
people
that,
out there that you're like, huh, okay, I'm your cult now. And then you just kind of carry along. So that's the thing. I've had Tom spewing in my fucking ear for 15 goddamn years. So I've learned to be a little bit more like, okay, like let's dive a little bit deeper on my own accord. I don't want to hear your story anymore. But like you produced a very good point. And if I was a judge right now, I'd probably smack my gavel and I'd rule in your favor if that's what you want to hear.
Well, like I said, this is all history. I can provide sources. You can read.
But that's
all
what
this
I mean,
stuff.
though. I'm like, fuck, where did those come from? Where did the sources come from?
Exactly, bro. That's what blows my mind. That this is antiquity. That's what's so fascinating about it. And people are like, this guy's off his fucking schizo meds, bro. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude.
That's what they say about, but I even be like, the government is evil. People are like, you're crazy, man. I'm like, have you not taken a look around in your own life and existence to not fucking figure this shit out? It's just, it is weird to me that like, this is like, goes like deep into into the occult and the connections to spirituality and religion and all sorts of like, it kind of like, I always say it's like a spider web that kind of just like starts and then branches off into all these different subjects. But there's so many people that just wouldn't even kind of dip their toe into it because they can't even acknowledge the reality that they live in and the horrible things that happen here, let alone if there is some sort of alchemical magical practices being taken place by ancient families that have been ruling over the planet for thousands of years, right? So they're like, what do you mean?
And I'll leave you on this for you to see how far like down this goes and the speculation. There's something called the Cartesian theater, and what the Cartesian theater points, it's a fallacy. It's a way of trying to explain observable reality. And what they believed was that inside of your head there was a little man sitting down watching a screen of your life now.
Like that guy from Men in Black. Remember that little alien that's inside that guy in the Men in Black?
But there's one problem with that because they're like, all right, well, if there's a little guy in my head and he's watching my reality, who the hell's in that little guy's head? Yeah. And who's in that little guy's head? And ad infinitum all the way down, so it's homunculus all the way down. But that's a philosophical and a symbolic. But they believe that back then. I'm like, where do we get our senses from? Is there a little miniature version of me in my head and like all this other stuff? And it's that's the craziest thing that most people can't even acknowledge, like even the basic levels of like that we don't understand anything. And what's consciousness? No. And what is consciousness? Where does that go? Where's the energy go? And then I find, especially like, because I've seen this happen. So have you ever seen the inside of your butthole? No. How do you know that there's not another fucking world in there, another dimension? Have you ever seen that meme? Have you ever seen your fucking? I thought about this, right? Because I saw a meme where it's like, have you ever seen your neighbor get groceries? Okay, I've never seen him get. And listen, I've only seen. We live next door to my wife's dad, and his wife, whatever, right? Like he lives right next door. I've seen him get groceries, but he's part of my reality, right? Yeah. So I was like, it is so weird because I've never seen someone across the street. How is this fuck still alive? I've never seen him get groceries before. Like, I know, it's weird. And it's just,
DoorDash is a real thing, right?
Yeah. A weird duality of like, what is actually going on? How connected are we really? And how
they walk into their house and they fucking just go to charge on the wall and they're just sitting there just fucking waiting for me to fucking, and then just come out, hey, neighbor.
Yeah, I know, and that's it. Right? And there's
it's my world. You're living
NPCs or whatever. I always the sheeple people. That's like, it is weird that so many people are so content with this.
Yeah,
is so bizarre to me, and being like, just vote harder or whatever they fucking believe, and it's crazy, and it's weird because like it's a good conversation to have, and I definitely maybe want to do something like this again with all of us. Maybe even
it was fun.
Get Aaron in there and do like a live stream and just die.
Aaron will put us to sleep with like, and the way that reality is, it's very beautiful. And
he's very soft spoken.
Got a calming voice.
And the leprechaun was running around the woods and showing me the little gold. Tom, you know about the gold in the horror movie?
The gold? Okay, I was gonna say, what is the gold all about? Aaron will probably laugh at that shit. He is very soft spoken, and I have to like beef him up, man.
That's what I got whenever I watch you with him. I'm like, is this dude like?
Bro,
let's go, dude! Like, wake up.
It's just such part of him now, and the thing is, I've kind of
got
good
the
balance.
ASMR going on.
And I joked how we both hate that shit too, so it's so funny. And it's a good balance because I'm very loud and bombastic, if that's the word I want to use.
Bombastic.
Yeah, and then and he's kind of the good level, and then Billy's the skeptical fucking comedian. But what do you think the importance of gold to end this on? Obviously, because there's theories like Zachariah Sitchin believe that there was like, the aliens needed gold for the atmosphere of their planet or whatever. But what do you think when it comes to magic and alchemical practices of why gold is so important?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think maybe it could be various things. Some people believe that that gold is almost like sun energy or sunlight encapsulated, right? It's the mineral of the sun. It's got some monetary value to it. So we've always been brought up with like, hey, gold is gold bars, the price of gold, this and that. And they saw that back then too. And I think maybe the thing about alchemy, you got to understand that it was all about hacking the system. Alchemy is about hacking reality. And part of hacking reality is what? Infinite money glitch, bro. So
Yeah.
it's like, boom, you got infinite money glitch, but gold is also has a sort of we know that they use it in electrical components. So there's also like a spiritual aspect of it. We know that they would make entire coffins out of it in ancient Egyptian times. So maybe it's, again, I haven't looked at that part into it, but I know that was their sole purpose.
The Jew magic, man. They're like, we're gonna take all the gold and we're gonna give you pretend money because
There
we
you go.
sacrificed children to Baal.
Yeah, there you go, dude. But yeah, I'll look into that. I've actually never thought about that.
We'll do this again. We'll have some fun with it. You can tell Aaron on a live how he's too quiet, and we'll do some fun shit. But yeah, I guess we for some people.
You went full retard, man.
And it's also
Absolutely,
time for something.
Juan, shout out your shit, and then Billy.
time for
Wait,
something.
Bill. Oh yeah, I forgot.
But you got like a news or something, a news segment, right? That's what
No,
you
he
do?
always does this.
It's time for Billy's Fun Fact of the Day.
He used to say that shit every episode when we were like together in the studio and screaming at the top of his lungs. And then we were finally like, we have to record this. Every episode he'd have to do it.
I was getting so frustrated. I loved how your wife too. She'd be like, "Oh, they're almost done," because he's screaming.
Yeah, she would hear for like 11 o'clock at night and he'd be screaming.
Okay, here, you want to hear something cool? Okay, fuck you if you don't think this is cool. I thought it was cool. you know how everyone says if your like intestines like were like laid out, it'd be like the course of what, like they say, like almost 2 football fields.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
a
not
lot.
it? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, that's a lot. That's
I
what your
thought it-
intestine, just your large and your small intestine laid out, it's almost 2 football fields.
That's a lot of shit.
If you
That's true.
took, you ready? If you fucking took all your veins, your capillaries, and your arteries,
Wrap around the world 3 times.
and you laid them down, just
Yeah.
in one human being, your veins, your capillaries, and your arteries, how long? Like, just take an honest guess. One human being. How long do you think that'd be?
I don't know, the size from California to Florida.
300 miles.
Fuck you for overguessing. Oh yeah, you're in miles. I gotta get the miles now.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was 96,000 kilometers, which
Whoa.
is pretty
Damn.
much like that's about 60,000 miles.
That's
Whoa,
crazy.
that's wild.
60
96,000 kilometers to miles for the American listeners.
It'd be about
59,000. God,
Holy
that's
shit.
a lot.
So it was
That's wild.
96,560. I think they actually equated it to about.
Whoa, that's
60
in one
60,000
person's body.
fucking miles.
So weird.
Isn't that wild?
How are we not magical creatures? Like
We are.
how is this not like we're put here and then everyone's like, I'm just gonna fucking play on my iPad for my whole life. You know,
I'm
it's
gonna
like,
fucking shoot up and do a whole bunch of coke. Like what?
I got so
You're
many
coming
miles
back here,
for the
man, don't
heroin to
worry.
go there.
You're gonna reincarnate. I always
I'm
believe
good.
that shit. I was like, you're doing that stuff to your life. You're coming back.
I'm
like
gonna
10
prolapse my asshole.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut my dick off and then not be able to fucking pee properly for the rest of my life.
There's some.
Okay,
dumb people,
Tom,
dude.
relax.
Well, I don't like the communist fucking transgender agenda.
Anyways,
golly.
do your shoutouts, boys.
All right, yeah, I want to shout out your shit. That was fun, man.
You can find tjojp.com. You can find all my stuff on there. If you're watching on Twitch, go follow me on Twitch. I'm trying to get to 50 followers.
Fuck
I've
yeah,
been
do
streaming
it.
stuff, so just to follow me on there. But yeah, tjojp.com. You can get a copy of the Homunculus owner's manual on there.
I'm gonna have to
And
do that. The thing's pretty sick, actually.
yeah, dude. Yeah, if I can, I don't know. Can I send you something? I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
send you a bunch.
Yeah,
so you
that'd
can
be
fucking have
sick,
'em.
dude. You can send me shit, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And at some point, for all the fans, I do have a PO box, so we probably. I had a fan a while ago ask me if they could send me some stuff, and I was like, I don't know, but I can use the PO box, and you won't know where I live, so it's fine.
I'll
Yeah.
give my address. I don't care if they know where I live.
You're in your trailer park.
Yeah, send me that, dude.
Yeah,
Give me
okay,
stuff,
awesome.
please. Thanks.
Yeah, so everybody out there, obviously, go support Juan's show. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are like happy to hear you back on the show because there was a lot of people that really did love Strange Ones, and we're like, we had to. You got busy, I got busy, and kind of happy. But I want to keep kind of doing this thing. I'll jump on. Maybe me and Billy would jump on your show sometime and do something just weird and obscure.
He
But
doesn't
it's
want
good
me on
to.
the show.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm just kidding.
But we'll have some fun with stuff. I did really enjoy this, but there's definitely topics that we can can go down, because every kind of, it's like every road leads somewhere else. There's always these forks, and then it splits into 5 forks, and then, you know, so everybody support the show. The best place to find us is obviously on Instagram. We're trying to do our X thing, so Strange Brewcast on X. Rumble, if you're watching on Rumble, hit that subscribe button. I really like supporting Rumble. And give us 5-star rating reviews, all that good shit, and there's a lot of stuff to come. Come into your palm and then cut your hand and then like lick it or something. Maybe a homunculus will come out.
100%.
I'll try it.